Shanghai. I finally made it back to China, and that was a mission. So I'm going to talk through in this video the process of traveling from Hong Kong to China, and I'm specifically going to talk about the Shenzhen route through Shenzhen Bay, as that's the crossing I've done. But this process will also apply if you're getting a flight into China or if you're going through the bus into Zhuhai. If you want to stay up to date with this process and you want to come back to this video at a later time, you can like and subscribe now. So from Hong Kong to China, there's 3 ways of travel. You've got a flight into the mainland, you can get a bus into Zhuhai, or you can get the land crossing at Shenzhen Bay. Now I routed for the Shenzhen Bay option mainly because the bus you could only book for the following week. So by the time I was in Hong Kong and I'm trying to look at the different options, it was too far away. I didn't want to wait an extra week just to see if I could get a ticket for the Zhuhai bus. The bus tickets are very hard to get to Zhuhai. Actually on the website I think they're 59 RMB. However, they're getting sold for thousands online. They use special ways to get the tickets, and be prepared to pay extra money if you want to go down that route. It wasn't so long ago they were selling for 10,000 RMB a ticket. For the flight, I didn't really fancy it, and I'll tell you these reasons. I'm in a few groups and I've seen a lot of people complaining how they've arrived in the mainland, they've been stuck on the plane for hours, going through the immigration process and then driven hours from the bus. So for me, I thought the best option was Shenzhen. It's not clear exactly the process beforehand, so it's a little bit of a guessing game. So I thought if anything goes wrong, then no problem. I'm only in Hong Kong, I can come back to the Shenzhen border easily. There are flights from Hong Kong to the mainland readily available. However, a lot of them are cancelled. So this is also something that you need to prepare yourself for. All this hassle beforehand, the test to get to the airport and the flight's cancelled. This is happening often. The good thing about the Shenzhen route is it's free. There's no cost. So it's the cheapest way. And in my mind, it's the easiest way. How does this work? They have a lottery system. There's 2,000 crossings per day, maximum. I'm going to put the website address here right now. This is the website you need to go on, so you can choose 3 different dates for your crossing from Hong Kong to Shenzhen Bay. You can log on back on the same day at 8:30 p.m. and you'll see if you're successful. It's hit and miss. You know, I got the second day on the first time. There's other people that have not got anything for 3 or 4 days. There's no other way but just to get on there early in the morning, check back at 8:30 p.m. in the evening and see if you hit the jackpot. So if you've hit the jackpot and you're lucky, now you need to have 2 different tests. You need to have the PCR test where you can just walk into any community hall, but the difference with this one is it will have to be printed, unlike any other PCR tests. So you can just go to your community hall, you don't need to make an appointment, walk in, and you can collect the results the same day at around 8:30 p.m. There's going to be a big queue of people waiting for this test report, because this isn't just for China, this is for other countries as well, leaving Hong Kong. So you can get that 8:30, be prepared, you might be waiting for 1 hour to get your printed results. This has to be in color. And don't worry if it tells you that you've had COVID, it will recognize if a certain gene has mutated. Don't worry about that, that won't affect the crossing at all. As long as it says negative, and it's got the sample time, and your name, your passport, you're all good. The fee was 240 Hong Kong dollars, my memory serves me correct. And you need to do this 24 hours before the date of crossing. So it's not 24 hours before your crossing, it's 24 hours before the day of crossing. So if your crossing is at 6:30 p.m. from Hong Kong to Shenzhen Bay, you can just do the test the day before. As well as that PCR, you need to have another booked at the crossing of Hong Kong. So I'm going to put up the website address now. You can choose your time of crossing. Personally, I chose 6:30 p.m. and I'll tell you the reason for this. I wanted the last possible crossing. I heard the horror stories of people waiting a long time for the bus, huge amount of people in the hot weather, and I didn't want any of that hassle. So I thought if I'm that last person, I shouldn't be waiting for the bus for too long. It should be more of a smooth process because there's no people behind me, and it was. So I think I definitely made the right decision, and I would recommend that for anyone else crossing. Choose a later crossing rather than an early one. That was a key element of making this trip smooth. So there's a lot of different codes you need for this crossing. It's very confusing. There's a green code, There's a blue code, there's a black code, there's a lot of QR codes, and sometimes you're not really sure which one is what, but I'm going to try and help explain that now. On your day of travel to Shenzhen, you will receive a green code in the morning at the following address. So this you will not get beforehand, you will only get on the day of crossing. This is the first step. This will enable you to get into the Shenzhen Bay crossing area. So you need this code. The best thing you can do is screenshot it, and you've got it for future reference, rather than try and rely and find the website when you're there and they're asking for the code. So screenshot it is always the best idea. The next code you're going to need is the black code. Now this is only valid for 24 hours, so the best thing you can do is do it just before you're departing. So if you're crossing at 6:30, let's do it at 3 o'clock, let's say. And this is like a health declaration. Now there is one issue with this code, it's only in Chinese. There's no translation, you can't use that translate button, so you will need someone to help you with this. Maybe you've got a friend or your employer, or there's someone else that can help you. Again, screenshot this black code. Now for the blue code, it's a similar process. You can only do it on the day of travel. I'm going to put the link up here, and this is like a passenger arrival form, and unfortunately again it's only in Chinese, so you might need some help filling in that if you can't read and write Chinese. So to get to Shenzhen Bay, I'm sure there used to be buses, but I don't think there are anymore, so you need to get a taxi. A taxi cost me around 500 Hong Kong dollars. I did go the fast way, and I traveled from Wan Chai, so that'll give you an idea roughly of the cost. It might have been slightly over, it might have been slightly less, but I know it was around 500 Hong Kong dollars. So now I'm going to talk about the process of arriving at the Shenzhen Bay crossing and the order of how things happen. So when you arrive at Shenzhen Bay, they're going to ask you for 3 things before you can enter. They're going to ask you for your passport, they're going to ask you for the green code, and they're going to want to see the test booking confirmation. The next step you're going to come to is like a station. They're going to ask you for the test report, the printed test report, and they're going to ask you a few questions if you've had COVID within the last 3 months. No problem if you had, you can tell them, it's not going to affect anything. They just make a note of it, and remember this is Hong Kong side, it's not China side. The next station you'll come to is for the test, the COVID test, and it's pretty horrific. They go very deep in your nose, it's a nasal test, and you'll see people coming out with bloodshot eyes. It's scary. I was really nervous about that, and yeah, it's not a nice feeling. So that is horrible. That's the worst part of the crossing. After completing the test, they will give you like a buzzer. You get this in coffee shops sometimes, I'm sure you've seen them. They're actually in Chinese, I think they call it like a milk tea buzzer. Once your test report is out, this will buzz, and you go to get the wristband, which will enable you to the next zone. Now the average time for this is 2 hours, and it says it very clearly. The waiting area is outside, and it's kind of hot. There's one vending machine that only takes Alipay, it doesn't take WeChat, and it doesn't take any coins or money, so that's the only option. So I recommend you probably bring some snacks with you and a bottle of water, especially because if you're outside in the heat, and you can be waiting over 2 hours. Now I was waiting around 20 minutes, and they asked me to come inside the immigration area. At this point I had to show my code from a Leave Home Safe. That's the Hong Kong app. Then I'm inside the immigration area, but I'm still holding this milk tea buzzer. It didn't take long, maybe like 20 minutes I'm gonna say, and this milk tea buzzer started buzzing. So you head down, you'll see where everyone's going. It seems to buzz at everyone at the same time. When they're testing, they ain't just testing one person, they do batch testing. You'll see everyone walking towards one area. At this point they give you a wristband. It's a green wristband. If you get another color, you're in trouble. You know, you don't want to get any other color, so you're looking for that green wristband. If you've got a black or a red, you know you've got some problem coming. Once you've got your green wristband, you can proceed to the Hong Kong immigration line. From there they're going to check your green code, and they're going to check your black code, and usual, you know, immigration, stamp your passport that you're leaving, and then you're through the Hong Kong side. And that was really the easy part. And now through to where the fun begins, the China side. And I lost count of how many people I showed the codes to, and the process seems never ending. But after showing the green code and the black code a few times, you're directed to another COVID test area. You'll be told to leave your luggage on the side. It's very quick, and this time they're going to do the mouth. Very quick, very easy, not painful. They don't go deep, no problem. So at this point, they give you like a QR code. You hold the QR code, you go to the next station, you give the QR code, and then you attach part of the QR code on the back of your passport. So after showing your code a few more times, you're going to arrive at the China immigration area. And this time they're going to ask for the green code, the blue code, the black code. You have an arrival card to fill in, and then they're going to ask you a few questions. They're going to be a little bit more of an interrogation than usual. They're going to ask where you're going, why you're coming, etc, etc. I was here for maybe like 10 minutes. It did take some time. They then stamped the passport and through. Then you go to the luggage check area. They stood away from me. They didn't stand next to me, but they did ask what I'm carrying. He said, am I carrying any books? I said no, which I wasn't. And I had a cart that I had bought with me. I filled up with food. Knowing that I've got quarantine for the 7+3, I went to Marks and Spencer's in Hong Kong, spent like 1,000 RMB on some food, and bought a little cart and carried that with me, just so I didn't need to have another suitcase. So I was traveling quite a lot. I was traveling probably over 100 kilos of luggage. So they made me empty all my food, but they didn't care what was in it. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if I had fruits, nuts, dairy, which I had. So that's all okay. You know, they just made me empty it to see if I had any books. But they stood from afar. They didn't come close, and everything was okay. And then I carried on to the next station. The next station you come to, they're going to check the test report from Hong Kong again. So you'll have this multiple times. They're checking the same code, they're checking the same paperwork, just different individuals. So they check this, and then you're directed on to the next station. The next station, they're going to give you a sticker. They take your passport. So this sticker looks like this, and this is for the bus. This is your area that you're going to. So don't worry, they've got your passport at this time, and there's no way you're going to miss this bus. I mean, all you can do is you can try and match up the characters in the waiting area. As you can see here, there's different signs with where you should wait on the left side, right side, central side, but you're never going to miss this bus. They have your passport. They know exactly how many people are going on each bus. So don't worry if you're not sure where you should be sitting. Just take a seat anywhere. They'll come find you. Don't worry about that. So the best thing you can do is just stick the sticker on your clothing, and in that way it's going to be easy for them to find you if there's a few more foreigners, or but don't worry about that. They will find you. Most of the buses go to Shenzhen only. There was one bus going to Dongguan, but apart from that, every bus was going to Shenzhen areas. So I got Yantian, and it was around 1 hour bus journey. So not bad actually. It can be further away than that in Shenzhen for other areas. So when the bus does arrive, you'll follow a few other people. You'll place your luggage underneath. On the side of the bus, there's a luggage compartments, and then you're off to wherever you're going. Now again, as I mentioned earlier, there's horror stories of people waiting hours for a bus. But I took the last crossing. I think I was waiting maybe 40 minutes. So it wasn't a short time, but it wasn't a lot of time. And I was waiting 40 minutes, but I think I was the last bus to go. Now some of these buses that arrive, there's 6 people traveling on it. There's 3 people traveling on it. It's very strange. So big buses, but they don't fill them up, and it's not a lot of people on each bus. Maybe on my bus I had 8 people. At the crossing, just for some information, there was around 100 people traveling in total. There was 3 foreigners, me included. When I arrived at the hotel, I see a couple of other passengers making a few comments, and it was good comments. They said something like Hawaii Maiwenti, means like you can order food from outside. So I was like, yes. Even though I bought my own food, I didn't want to get stuck with the hotel food, if I'm running out, because I've got bread, I've got cheese, if you're there for a week, this stuff might not last that long if there's no fridge in the room, which there wasn't. So the fact that I heard that, I was relieved, and they were saying it's a good hotel. So I was very relieved when I hear that on the bus, because actually I had a really nervous feeling when I was sitting there in Shenzhen Bay waiting for that bus. It's almost a sick feeling of you got no idea where you're going, and that nervousness come over me, like if you're in a bad area, a bad hotel, dirty hotel, you've got bad food, how horrendous it will be. So to hear them comments, wow, that made me feel good. So when we arrived at the hotel, you have to place your luggage by the side. Everyone has to, and they spray it with some disinfectant or something. You're then sat down and they call one person at a time. This is outside the hotel. They give you a bag and this paper like this. Obviously I can't read anything here. And these are basic like instructions. And of course I took a photo, sent it to my friend and got it translated later. And you have to sign a document. Again, you got no idea what you're signing, you just got to sign it. They will give you a QR code. It's for WeChat. So you just scan this QR code and you're added into a group. This is for everyone that's staying in the hotel, and so you can communicate with the front desk or the people in charge of this quarantine procedure. There was no English speaking at all where I was. So of course just use a translate button, and I had to get a friend to speak to them a couple of times. And they did try phoning in a few times, but yeah, there was no English at all. And from there, you proceed into the hotel one at a time, maybe a couple minutes delay, because they make sure one person uses the elevator. So when you proceed to the correct floor, you hear this megaphone. You can't see them, but they're telling you, go forward, turn left, turn right. All obviously only in Chinese. Really, it's a little bit scary. Go in your room, the card's laid out, you put the card in, close the door, and that's it. The hotel I got taken to was Venice Hotel. It was clean, it was comfortable, it had a TV, had an office desk. It was a really nice hotel actually. It was 350 RMB a night, which is fine, that's around £40 a night. And I was really happy I got somewhere like that. I proceed to look at the menu, and it's Cantonese food, it's great food. So I'm chuffed, and I'm really happy I've got somewhere like this. Fast internet, comfortable, big bed. I got lucky, I definitely got lucky here. So next door to the hotel was a convenience store. I was able to order a few drinks at that point, and a few snacks. I couldn't order dinner because it was too late by the time I got there. I must have arrived maybe at like 9:30 p.m. so after doing all this process. So it was too late to order dinner, but no problem, I had food anyway. And they do a special deal. If you want to order some food, like set meals for 100 RMB a day, which was like the breakfast, lunch and dinner, or you can just order separately. I just ordered separately. The food was kind of cheap actually, not expensive, and it was great. This was like, especially being Cantonese and similar to like British Chinese food, chow mein or chow mian, and kung po chicken, gong bao ji ding. Really nice, really big portions. So yeah, I was happy, definitely happy with the restaurant, and I ordered every single day. Even though I had some food, I ordered extra. So you do have daily testing. Right, they're knocking on the door at like 7:30. So you will be woken up, and a mouth test very quick, and you can go back to sleep. But every morning that will happen. And actually, if you're coming from an Asian country, if you've been in an Asian country within 14 days, then they're going to take some blood samples off you at some point. Maybe day 6, but they'll do a finger jab and take some blood. They're checking for malaria, they're checking for dengue fever. Here is a view of the hotel room, a few snaps. I booked a business class flight because of all my luggage, and I was a little bit worried about like the excess baggage charges, or because I had so much luggage, even if I could carry it. But then that flight got cancelled, which was a disaster. So the only other flight was an economy one, and it was limits on baggage. So I managed to call someone on the last day, and he come, and I sent the stuff back to my house. So that's possible. They'll let you send your luggage to your own city or to your own house. So that was okay, a lot cheaper. I've saved a lot of money there. Upon checking out of the hotel, they're gonna call you, tell you to come downstairs. You'll sign some documents, and they'll give you some test reports from the test and some other paperwork, and you'll need to show this when you arrive at the airport to get into the terminal. You have your own bus, they're gonna take you, they're gonna arrange for this, a closed loop system. 1 hour to the airport, roughly, 1 hour, 20 minutes. And they have a special terminal for all of the quarantine arrivals. So you're taken to a different area. There was a fair few people in there, maybe like 30, 40 people maybe. And all the airlines, you check in this area. So it's again a closed loop system. Check in as normally as you would on any other flight. You then go for the security as in any other flight. And then you're taken onto the plane first. So I was put the last seat on the back left of the plane, and I'm the first one to board the plane. So I'm there way before anyone else, maybe like 20, 25 minutes before anyone else come on the plane. you know, and there was no one but the back 4 rows. So they kept all them back 4 rows empty, just me. You know, they're making that separation. I guess this is an airline requirement. So on arrival to Yiwu, I'm in a queue with everyone else. They don't separate me. They put me to one side, and then they put me onto a bus. It was just me, and they took me to a quarantine central area. This was terrible. This is nothing like Shenzhen. This was a horrible experience. So I'm arriving late at this time. You know, my flight was kind of late, so I arrived at like 10:30. They ask you if you have any dietary requirements, any food issues. So for me, I don't eat seafood or fish. I'm allergic to fish. I don't eat lamb. So I made that known, and I said, look, I haven't had any lunch because we traveled earlier. There's no opportunity to have any lunch. And on the plane, they only served fish. So I couldn't eat anything on the plane. So I told them, I don't eat fish, I don't eat seafood. I said, look, if you have anything, I'm really hungry if there's any food, because they wouldn't let me order any food. And they said, can you eat pork? I said, yes. So they gave me a meal. I'm really grateful. I go upstairs, I open it, it's a big fish. Can't believe it. So I call them up and they just say, well, eat the food around it. So that was a no-go. So no dinner that night. This hotel was dirty, not clean, no soap in the room. I mean, stains everywhere. It was horrific. TV didn't work. The internet worked barely. This hotel looked like it was ready to be knocked down. It was horrible. So I wasn't happy about arriving in there. This was a completely different experience to the Shenzhen hotel. So the next morning, after being hungry from the night before, it was around 11:15. I said, is there any way I can order lunch? They say it has to arrive before 11 a.m. So I missed lunch. Disastrous. They did drop off some food, so there was like some soy milk and there was an egg. So I ate the boiled egg. I used the soy milk for tea. You know, there was no water in the room, you just had a kettle, you had to boil the water. They would let me order dinner. They wouldn't allow any drinks inside, so I couldn't have like Coca-Cola. They took it away from me. But I ordered dinner. That had to be there before 5 o'clock. I ordered it 4:30 p.m. So it had plenty of time, so there was no issues. But I got it around 5:30 p.m, so it was kind of cold. So not a good experience, and you see a lot of people complaining in the group. I only had to do 2 in this place, 2 nights. And I was out at first thing in the morning. And it's amazing how things change. When you got your release, you know, you sign another document, but it's how many people can you cram in an elevator? You know, so completely different experience. So from then I go home, you have to report to the community, and I had the next stage, which was 4 days, which turned to 5 days at home. It's okay when you get home, you know, you're glad to be back, and you know, you're relaxing, and so there's no problem. You know, I can deal with the home quarantine, no issue. They say to me I have to do a test every single day. Just go downstairs, do the test and come straight back. Your code has a message which says you've been outside the province within the last 7 days because of Shenzhen. So they count this from when you arrive in Yiwu, and it would change, you know, on the 8th day at midnight. So you can't do anything. Even when I got out, which was like I think it was like a Saturday, but I couldn't actually go anywhere till the Sunday. Bear that in mind, that you can be restricted. You can't go to any restaurants or bars or anywhere really. You know, just outside. You can go for a walk, but you can't go in any public places. I've noticed since last time I was here, because I left in May, is the WeChat scan to go in is gone. So it's only Alipay. So Alipay is the only way to go in anywhere. And in Yiwu currently, you need to do testing every 48 hours. But because of the time, it's really every day. Because if you're doing every 48 hours, you know, there's potential where your test results taking some time, so you can't go in somewhere. So in real terms, you need to be doing this test every single day, just to make sure you can access places. So it's kind of stressful, but it is quick and it's easy, and it's only the mouth, not like before where it was the nose. So I don't mind too much. It's right next to my house, couple of minutes, so it's easy just to go outside, do the test, and you know, carry on. So once again, please like and subscribe if this was helpful. Leave a comment below if you have any questions that I can help you with, and I'll see you next time. 再见。